Welcome to the Small Business Safari, where I help guide you to avoid those traps, pitfalls, and dangers that lurk when navigating the wild world of small business ownership. I'll share those gold nuggets of information and invite guests to help accelerate your ascent to that mountaintop of success. It's a jungle out there, and I want to help you traverse through the levels of owning your own business that can get you bogged down and distract you from hitting your own personal and professional goals. So strap in, adventure team, and let's take a ride through the safari and get you to the mountaintop.
I think I'm recording.
Hey, you push enough buttons and eventually...
Eventually I make this thing happen. I've only been doing this for 4.5 years with you. We talked about it before we got the guest on. We'll get to him in just a minute. I
don't think he's a guy who's used to waiting.
He is not a guy who's used to waiting. He's used to telling you, you are done waiting, son. It's time to get out there and make that thing happen. But I'm still going to make him wait. Alan, we've had a great time building this podcast, doing what we're doing. Had a great time. If you didn't listen to the last episode, we will not talk about our World Cup hangover that we're still going through.
I'm wearing black.
It is
for that very reason.
It was so much fun. But there's going to be more Big Daddy times because that's what we keep doing. Are we looking for experiences? We're looking to build our businesses. I mean, why are we doing all this stuff? Why did we start our business 18 years ago? And that was to just get absolutely flipping rich. Oops.
How'd you do?
Well, so I'm here with you, Alan, and we're building this podcast because what we're trying to do is help everybody.
Wait a minute. Are you saying if you were rich, we wouldn't be friends? Is that what I just heard?
No, actually, you would be there, but we'd be doing this from our yacht.
I'd be saying, can I bring another another drink, Mr. Lalamia?
That'd be better. Alan, chop, Alan, Alan's son, we got to move. We have a great thing. One of the things we've talked about is why did I do what I did? And one of the things I said was, when I started at 37 to start my own business was that at 60 years old, I didn't want to know. I wonder if I had it. But one of the things I did know is that I did not want to basically take on my entire world and everything I had built until then. And that was all from the banking background that I had. Being in banking was making sure I took care of my money. So we lived below our means before we started. We did our things that we were supposed to be doing. We did all that stuff that's just not sexy. You know what? I bought a Mercedes. Okay, my wife had a BMW. Okay, I live in a golf course community. Okay, I had a second house. But forget all that stuff. I lived below my means, people. All right, forget that. I did. I stuck it away, so I knew that if I took the chance and things went completely awry, it would do it. But one of the things my dad told me at 24 years old, my first job after I got my master's in mechanical engineering, and came out making a whopping $38,000 a year with a master's in mechanical engineering, Alan. Get it up for me.
Tonning it.
Woo! Killing it. My dad says, well, what do they allow you to max your 401k at? I said, well, I don't know. He goes, why not? I said, well, because I need everything I can get, man. I haven't made any money. I've been in grad school making $1,000 a month. He goes, find out. I came back and said, well, they'll match up to 3%. He goes, no, I asked you where you're going to max. I said, well, they said I can max at 10. He goes, all right, put down 10. I said, Dad, I can't afford that. He goes, Christopher, you cannot not afford that. He goes, you have lived on $1,000 a month as a grad student. You can definitely live on $38,000 a year doing what you're doing. I said, but Dad, I got to get all this stuff. Big Daddy's arrived. He was not having it. And at 24 years old, the nest egg I started is still sitting there waiting for me.
So why do we need our guest now?
No, we need our guest because that was simple advice. And when you start to grow and start to do your things, you need better and more complicated advice. And that's the second thing he told me is that at a certain point, Chris, you don't have time to do this. You're trying to grow your business. You're trying to make money. You got to go out there and do that. You don't have time to sit there and manage your money and play with your portfolio and tell everybody how much returns you got. Because let's face it, at the country club, hey, man, what'd you do? Oh, I invested in NVIDIA. Oh, yeah, I'm tonning it. Yeah, what'd you put in it? $10. Yeah. What'd you put the other ones? 1,000 in what? The company that's out of business now. And nobody ever tells you that shit, right? They all tell you about this, but who's watching this stuff? Who's watching your money for you? You got to watch this stuff because we're out there making that nest egg. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just hanging on.
Hang on. We got it today. Jack Oujo's on, and Jack is going to help us figure this stuff out. Jack, welcome to the show, buddy.
I'm really looking forward to it. You guys seem like a lot of fun. And by the way, your father gave you very good advice too, by the way, Chris.
Sam is the man.
Thank God. My dad also does not listen to the show. We've had my dad on. So, Jack, why did my dad give me good advice?
Because one of the things you probably didn't realize at the time is the biggest bill you had in your life was your federal income tax. Most people know their refund or what they owe, but they have no idea what their freaking tax bill is. And by giving you that advice, you were able to cut the biggest bill you had in your life, which was your taxes, and build up the lump sum of capital that you need to be financially independent. So you're killing two birds with one stone. So that's why it was good advice.
And thank you. And that's why my daughter will be listening to this show for at least 7 minutes because she's taking her first job and we've already started this whole conversation. And I've actually had to put her grandfather on her. So I'm going to have Jack listen, make Sydney listen to Jack. So that's simple advice. I mean, that's just basic blocking and tackling. But you have built a firm around personal wealth management. Why don't you talk a little bit about what you built and why you did it?
Sure. Well, I did it when I was in baseball in the minor leagues and got released. I needed to come up with a living. And I didn't even know wealth management was a job, to be perfectly frank with you. When I got released, I decided to put all my effort into working and continue in education. So in a 4-year period, I got my CPA, CFP, Master's in Tax, Securities License, and Insurance License. And I put myself out there. And I realized that wealth management was a business. I started advising people not only on their taxes, but on their money. And the thing just freaking took off. Um, like right now, we're at $900 million under management, and that's without acquiring a client, all organic from referrals. And I started my business borrowing on credit cards because I had no money whatsoever. And I made a plan. I outlined potential income and expenses, and I figured if I could pick up a couple of clients a month for a couple of years, I'd be off to the races. And that's exactly what happened.
Jack's the story we all wanted to be.
Jack just said, I put it on credit cards. How old were you at this point?
Early 30s, early 30s.
All right, let's back this truck way up then, because he said something that's really cool, and we're about to fanboy on him.
Mm-hmm.
So you were in the minor leagues playing baseball to your 30s. How fun. Let's go back to that. So when you were 18 years old, you did not want to do this. You were going to be Mickey Mantle.
I was going to be a catcher for the New York Yankees, and I looked
Yogi
up
Berra.
to Thurman Munson and Jerry Grody. And when I umpired in the minor leagues, I remember having an argument with Jerry Grody and thinking I was begging this guy for his autograph one time. So, yeah, but I remember looking out at the umpires at a major league game, and I thought that would be a pretty cool job to have someday. I was looking at the second base umpire who was under no pressure, and I thought it would be a cool job. And I officiated my way through college. I umpired in like people caddy at golf courses. I officiated my way through college at Seton Hall University. And when I got out, I had an accounting degree, and I figured, when I'm my age now, which is 68, I didn't want to have any regrets. So I decided to try out for baseball, figuring they wouldn't take me. You go to umpire school, and they take about 15 people into the minor leagues out of 350 people. And I'm like, well, they're not going to take me. And they did. And I ended up doing a life sentence in the minor leagues at 8 years. 2 in A ball, 2.5 in double A, 3.5 in triple A, 6 winter leagues, 1,500 games, twice as many games as Bill Belichick is coaching the NFL. I umpired in the minor league. So I was there for a long time. And then I got released after 3 years in triple A, and it was ready, go, start your life over again.
All right. So talk about that. That's a really interesting. We've never had an umpire on before, Alan, and
No.
we love this. And so, what do you mean you got released?
So they put a policy in. Back then, there were only 52 major league umpires. Now there's over 100 with vacations and replay and all that other sort of thing. So it was a very narrow funnel. A policy was put in that if you had 3 years in AAA and the major leagues didn't take you, you were let go. And that's what happened with me. There's people that made it to the major leagues that I beat to AA and AAA that got in at a better opportune time than I did. But they didn't want people wasting their lives in the minor leagues. So they were going to make a quick decision, yes or no. And if they said no, they got rid of you and on to the next few people. Larry Vanover comes to mind, Angel Hernandez. I beat those guys to AA and AAA, and yeah, and
I know. Yeah.
yes,
So
yes,
a big baseball fan. I really enjoy this sport. I think it's a great
sure.
sport, especially for young people to learn because it's the one thing that a young man has to actually think before he does something. And I loved coaching it as a kid and loved playing it as well. Why did you get into umpiring? You said you did it to get through school. I get that part, but I've heard other people's stories. Why did you do it?
So initially, when I was growing up, I was a catcher. Okay, I was an all conference catcher, and our team won the state championship in our high school. Two players, John Muller and Jim Deloy, were drafted into professional baseball. They didn't get to the big leagues. My next door neighbor growing up was a guy named Ed Sanicky, and he played for the Philadelphia Phillies, but he umpired as a hobby. And when I was looking to make extra money in college, he goes, "Why don't you try umpiring?" And I go, "I don't want to do that. You get yelled at all the time. People are crazy." And he goes, "Well, it's better than working at McDonald's. And you were a catcher. You'd probably be very good at it." And so I took up umpiring. I went to take the test. I remember these high school umpires that I had when I was a catcher were giving me the answers to the tests and everything. And I started, and by the time I graduated from Seton Hall, I was umpiring high school state finals. The college assigners were trying to sneak me in on college games. The major league umpire, Bill Kunkel, saw me umpire, and he said, "If you were in the major leagues, you'd be one of the best ones." Right? So everybody was encouraging me to try out when I had this accounting degree. And again, I only went to get it out of my system. I go, let me give it a try. And I had a great experience in baseball. I mean, being in baseball is pretty cool. There's a lot of travel. But when I was a kid, we never traveled. We never went on vacation anywhere. So I was able to see the country. So I had even though I was sorry at the time I didn't get to the big leagues, I had a very positive experience. It was a lot of fun, and I grew a lot from it.
And you say, I saw in your bio that a lot of what you learned being an umpire, you brought to business. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Well, you're learning, for one thing, how to do the right thing in the face of adversity. I mean, I've balked in the winning run with 30,000 people in the stands.
Oh,
Okay.
good
Not
Lord.
most financial advisors haven't done that. So just doing the right thing, standing up to people when they're on their worst behavior, handling situations, dealing with teamwork, facing setbacks and how to get over it. I mean, you miss a pitch in the fifth inning of a game, you better get over it real fast, or the whole game's going to be ruined. So things like being part of a team, all those things were things that I learned at baseball.
You brought something up I was waiting to ask. So you've missed a call. You were behind the plate because you guys rotate around. You've missed a call. You knew you missed it.
Yeah.
The catcher knew you missed it. The batter knew you missed it. The fans knew you missed it. You have to reset. And you know it's only up to you to reset. How did you do that?
I had a process, which I would talk about in business. I had a process for calling balls. I haven't umpired a game since the mid 2000s. Peek at the bottom of the strike zone, set your eye to get a perspective on the low pitch, which is where a lot of umpires struggle. Set your eyes at the top of the strike zone. You can see the inside and outside corner, and then lock in and wait with slow timing, and let the pitches call themselves. That was again, I haven't called a game, but if I had to go out there on the field tomorrow, I know the process, and you go back to your process.
Talk about that again. So you just said it. So you missed that call, and that ball's going back, and you know it's coming back in 15 seconds, today's pitch clock, whatever. You have to reset. I talk about this with my sales guys all the time. You got to set the mechanism, right? You got to clear the head trash. You got to get in there. You may not have won the last one, but you got to win this next one. And it's so hard. And that's the difference between amateurs and professionals in any sport, in any business, is being able to do that, right?
You have to be able to move on. You need to get over that last pitch. And you're as an umpire, you talk to anybody that umpires a 9-inning game, you're mentally exhausted when the game ends because it requires so much concentration. And one thing umpires learn is going from 7 innings to 9 innings. I used to say to myself when I got to the 7th inning, I'm like, all right, the game starts now. Not that I'm tired and I have 3 more innings to go. the game starts now in the seventh inning, and we need to finish strong here. And you're constantly talking to yourself the whole game and I've coached baseball, I've played baseball, I've caught baseball. Speaking to me about baseball, you can see things from so many perspectives. But being a home plate umpire in a game requires enormous amounts of concentration and focus that people wouldn't even realize. I mean,
Didn't realize it until you said it. You're
No,
right.
and so
It's exhausting.
Every pitch, set low, set high, and then check the corners. Every pitch.
Yep, every single pitch. And by the way, the big difference between being a catcher and being an umpire is something nobody thinks about, is that you have no idea what pitch is coming.
True.
Okay. You ever watch a baseball game and see the catcher get crossed up? He's moving his glove all over.
Yeah.
Every pitch in the whole game is like that for the umpire. The whole game is like that. And I've said, imagine being a catcher and you don't know what pitch is coming. How would the catcher look like? That's how the umpire feels. And that's why you got to really lock in and keep your head still. And the guys on TV make it look very easy. And among umpires privately, you'd say, if I just had a chair and a beer in my hand, I'd never miss a pitch.
Right.
So easy on TV.
You're right. I think what a mental fortitude you guys have, and that's I think the thing that a lot of people miss in that. First of all, as a guy I've reffed a lot of basketball games when I was a kid, and I played every sport I could get my hands on. Went to college to play football, but through college I coached, I reffed basketball. Why did I do it? Well, because I could stay in the game. It was still fun. Did I hear the parents chirping? I did, but you could put it away. But I think what you're talking about, it really sets you up for a business, because I use a lot of that, because I eliminate that noise. I can clear the head trash. I can clear the mechanism. Sometimes though, I can't. What do you do when you can't?
You have to know when lines are being crossed. And as an umpire, I took the position. I never threw somebody out of a game. They threw themselves out of a game. And so learning how to deal with people when they're upset that the stock market went down. They're upset because they owe money with their tax return. You let people feed things out. You hear what they have to say, come back, repeat it back to them, and then come up with a proposed solution that hopefully they could agree upon. If they get out of line from an abuse point of view, you let them go as a client, especially if they're being abusive to people that work in your office. But you learn as an umpire that when managers are yelling at you, they're doing it to show their players that they have their back and that they love them. It's not personal. Okay. When the thing that really bothers me in today's game is really at the amateur level, where parents and grandparents are abusing sports officials to the point of it's physical abuse, and they're doing it to show their kids that they love them. But meanwhile, you got a 16-year-old kid calling balls and strikes or reffing a basketball game that doesn't know how to handle that.
Amen to that, because when I coached my kids in softball and baseball, I always went up there and talked to the referee, and the first thing, or the ump or whatever it was, in any sport, I said, "Hey, thank you for doing this. You knew they're making $25. That was it. You know what? They did not come here to get this shit kicked out of them for a T-ball game where they think every kid is going to be Derek Jeter. By the way, I'm the coach, just making sure the kid didn't piss on third base. I call it TT. And by the way, I had one. I was on first base. My coach is over there on third base. I'm like, he's going to TT. We got to go. He's picking him up. He's pulling him off. And by the way, all the parents were like, they thought all their kids, I'm like, they're picking dandelions, man. This is T-ball. They were the worst parents I ever had to work with.
Are the worst. And so you've got like a training academy or something. You do something where you give back that way, right?
I taught youth umpires in our town in Brick, New Jersey for over 20 years, where I taught kids how to umpire because they couldn't get the parents to do it. And I remember saying at the meeting, I could teach children how to do this, and it would help develop them into being better adults. And you'll save a lot of money. And they took me up on my offer, and I did it for over 20 years. We developed kids to be umpires. And the problem was when their former coaches would get in their face and things along those lines. But I taught them conflict resolution. How do you handle when a coach is yelling at you from the dugout? It's like specific situations I would put the kids in for role playing. And I think they learned just as much or more from being an umpire as they did from being a player.
And so, how does this translate to business? Why did I go off on that tangent? Because before this, I was in the corporate world. I used to call myself Mr. Third Inning. I had a daughter who played softball, I had a son who played baseball, they played basketball, they were in tennis, and I would see like maybe half of it. And so I started my business. Why did I start my business? I was trying to make a lot of money. Well, it turned out that I became their coach. I had the flexibility with what I was doing, but let's translate this back to business. So, Jack, you're 30 years old and you're saying, hey, Chris, I want to manage your money. I'm like, hey, Jack, how about you grow up like 55 years and then we'll talk to you later? Because who wants to use a young kid? And so you had to use this. So tell us how you built that business in the beginning.
Sure. Well, Mike Krzyzewski, the coach, said if you want to be successful, the first thing you have to do is deserve success. So I put those letters next to my name before I asked anybody for money: CPA, CFP, Masters in Taxation. So I had knowledge. I was developing knowledge. And when I started meeting with wealthy people, I realized I was recognizing a lot of issues that your typical stockbroker or accountant couldn't recognize. And because I had the baseball background, I was able to speak to people and give them a lot of respect. An umpire is in the business of getting respect, and you only get it by giving respect. So I was able to get on the same page with wealthy people, and they became raving fans for the business and brought me all the new customers that I really needed. So I didn't ask for anybody's business until I felt like I had some knowledge. And as I was, part of getting over the release, when I was going through school and I started, I passed all 4 parts of the CPA exam the first time I sat for it, and I was in baseball 8 years. Like, not many people do that. And I was getting a high every time I was getting more knowledge. And I just started recognize, like you asked the question about the 401k plan, that is on file after 30 years, the answer to that question. So you start recognizing issues. And when you're dealing with wealthy people, you're going to make a lot more money because they have more money to invest with you. And I think they just got very comfortable with me being honest with them. Like I wasn't going to suck up to them. If they're about to do something stupid, I'm like, that's freaking stupid. You can't be doing shit like that. So,
And that is Alan's favorite New Jersey, New York people. He goes, there. Go ahead, Alan. What are those people? Because I'm from the Midwest.
No, they're just so direct. But what I found about people, and coming from the West Coast, it was sort of off-putting because, I just wasn't used to that kind of candor. But what I found about people from New York and New Jersey is they're crusty on the outside, but they're gooey in the middle. And once you crack through that exterior, then if you're good with them, you're good with all their friends, and they're just the warmest people I've ever met. But they're genuine, they're authentic. You know exactly where you stand.
And people want you to be authentic when they're managing their money. I mean, you got to be honest with people. I mean, I considered it part of my job to prevent people from hurting themselves, because I'd say to them, if you undertake this course of action, you're going to end up blaming me down the road for not trying to get you to stop it. That's why I'm getting in your face right now. And I think people, I was trying to get their respect, right? Not necessarily get them to like me, but they had to like me, but also respect me. And again, I've had clients for, 35 years now. Or over 30 to 35 years that have been with me for a long time. And now they're adult children, so it's been a pretty cool ride, especially seeing that they've been able to retire. Their kids have no student loan debt. Their mortgages are paid off. Things along those lines. That's what we're looking for.
Right. We talk about that. That's hallelujah. That's the end. I mean, when you talk about this, when you start a business, when I did it at 37, it was all about me going out there trying to start something. We'll see what happens when I'm 60, so I haven't got there yet. God willing, I'll make it. We'll see how this goes. But Jack, you started that. You talked about being authentic. You started out beginning. You had to know it. You had to train it. You had to lean on your strengths. You've grown a business now. Now you have people managing the money for you. Talk about how you scaled and some of the strengths or some of the struggles you went through.
Well, at the beginning, I made the mistake that I think most small business owners make, and that's trying to do too much of the work yourself. I was that accountant there on Saturdays and Sundays. And I read a book that I'd recommend besides my own book called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, Why
Yeah.
Small Businesses Fail.
Too
And
big.
right? And I learned to work on my business rather than in my business. The same mistake the McDonald's brothers made back when they thought they were the only ones capable of making freaking hamburgers. So, so I remember I hired two people, Anna Michael to be a CPA and Loretta Sohan, who I called our director of first impressions. And I took a big cutback in my own pay. It was a huge risk hiring an accountant and a person at the front desk. And I realized very quickly that that was a very, very smart move because Anna was able to do all these tax returns. I was able to go out and try and generate more business. Loretta got on the phone, calling, senior citizens and working on marketing plans. And we just took off. And both of those women worked with me for 30 years. They ended up working their whole careers with me. They retired before I did. And so hiring the right people that were different than you, that like to do things that you didn't like to do, was probably the best decision I made right at the giddy up.
Why do you think, and put the whole thing aside, why
Sure.
do you think they stayed with you for 30 years?
Because I learned in baseball how not to treat people. When you're a
How
minor
not
league
to treat
umpire,
people.
how not to treat people. My last year in baseball, I umpired a 144 game season, spring training, playoffs, finals. There were 8 teams in our league. Two of the teams drew over 1 million fans, Buffalo and Louisville. My W-2 is $8,500. That's it. Do all the inflation adjustments you want. That's the money I made. We went for a mortgage. The mortgage broker said to my wife Eileen, "I just need the rest of Jack's income." When he
Oh,
looked at
shit.
yeah. So I learned treat people well and they'll take care of my clients and employees. And that I learned in baseball too.
It's so, and I'm not going to be able to articulate this well, so it's just terrible for podcasting. But I'm sensing a pattern with Jack that I just think is so fascinating. It's just slightly aside. Like he set the parameters for the pitch and let the pitch come in. He let the people who were being asses get themselves kicked out, and then he learned how to not treat people. I mean,
Yeah.
you see that pattern?
I do.
It's really interesting.
You did not articulate it well, but thank you to the Small Business Safari because that I can't do it any better. Honestly, I'm right with Alan. There's something intangible about Jack. It's authentic. I think that's the word I'm thinking
But he
about.
sees the world slightly differently, and he allows
does.
it to happen, and he just manages it or something. I don't get it.
Because, Alan, would you call balls and strikes when you're 30 years old for $8,500 a year?
No,
No fucking way.
No,
I mean,
and
let me
we've
say
got-
that
we
again.
got a
No way.
Nobody wants to be a referee in any sport right now because people are just so awful.
They are so awful now. But I think, that's why I was waiting to hear. I thought you wanted to stay in the game more, but I did. I mean, the reason why, Chris, why did you ref basketball games? I'm like, well, I just love giving back to kids. I love kids. And it was in the off season because I played football and I could do it in the winter. And it was but yeah, the parents were chirping in your ear, blah, 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 blah. My dad was a referee in basketball, so that's why I did it. And you're like, man, I played basketball, the whole thing. You're like, but yeah, you look back on it, you're like, no, why did I do that? I could have went back in the machine shop and made parts and nobody would have been yelling at me because that's what I did as a kid growing up.
You don't have parents yelling at you when
Yeah,
you're
I had
making
nobody.
parts.
Nobody was yelling at me about making parts. But these guys are all like, little Johnny's the best ever. I can't believe you called a foul on him. I'm like, oh, are you kidding me?
When you talk about Anna and Laura, and again, there's 15 people now, but I never used the phrase they worked for me. I've never said that before in my life. They worked with me. And I always said, I'm the conduit for paying you. The clients pay us, I pay you. They developed back in the day our benefits policies, paid time off policies. I'm probably one of the few employers out there that pays 100% health insurance for our employees. They pay nothing. So, at least 4% goes into their pension plan, and then a discretionary contribution is made on top of that. So I really believe in taking care of your employees because they will take care of your clients. You just got to have the right people in there and they won't leave you. They won't leave.
All right, so let's talk about you started this business. Let's
Yeah.
talk about a struggle you had. You started out, you got into
I
it.
don't think Jack's ever struggled.
I don't think so. We got you know what? Honestly, he has a little. He has. You know what?
wait, I think
He's
we need to-
authentic.
I think we need to read his book and come back.
We'll come back.
Yeah.
I still think though he had a little tweak about getting released. I'm still pissed about that. In fact, I'm pissed for him. Don't worry, Jack. I have way more rage than you ever possibly could have.
For all of us.
This Italian guy has a lot of it. Don't worry about it. I can. So let's talk about the business. Let's talk about a time where you're like, oh my God, it's not going what I thought. I mean, you went through a couple of you've been through a couple cycles.
I
So
think he did.
I think you did.
It's gonna be
Let's
dead.
find
It's
out.
gonna be dead air.
All right. All right.
It's
So
not
Jack
what you
never
think.
struggled because
The-
Chris has fucking struggled, bro. 18 years, dude. This guy has struggled, but maybe there's for other reasons.
Again, I think the whole business, quite frankly, after being in baseball, I think the whole business has been an easy business. It's been a piece of cake compared to being in baseball. I really do. And I also think going through the 50% decline that took place between 2000 and 2002, the 40% decline that took place in 2008, I spun those things to my advantage. There's a book that Bobby Knight wrote called The Power of Negative Thinking, believe it or not. And he talked about how games are lost and not won. And so, because of my release in baseball, and because I buy into that philosophy that most in baseball, by the way, if you take the worst inning a team had, there's a chance they might have won that game. Most baseball games are lost because of one bad inning. But I created worst case scenarios for our clients when planning for their futures. Most advisors are out there projecting 7 to 12% returns. When I do a financial plan for a client, I show them what would happen if the depression came back in based on the advice I just gave them? What happens if the stock market does nothing over the next 10 years? How does your life look? So I would go over worst case scenarios with clients. And when that stuff happened, we were prepared for it. And after 2000, my business grew by 400% within 5 years after the 2008 crash because nobody left. And that's when money moves. Like as an advisor, like I embrace down markets because that's when money moves. Money's not moving right now. Everybody's freaking happy because their money's going up. You get measured as an advisor on what happens when the bleep hits the fan. Okay, when there's down markets, which a 20% down market occurs once every 4 or 5 years. People, that's like having when the stocks go down and clients complain, I say to them, that's like when you have a baby. If you said to the OBGYN, gee, this freaking kid's crying at 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't understand why. Like stocks go down and they can go down very violently. And that's all part of the game. And you have to set yourself up so that you know how to deal with those situations.
I think maybe that's the title of the podcast. When you birth a baby and you look at the OBGYN and go, why is this baby crying at 2 o'clock in the morning after I started my business?
I think Jack is our new sensei.
He is. He is.
So talk about your book.
So I wrote the book Too Smart to Be an Umpire because I was bored in the last 2 years of my business. I just sold it to 2 of our employees.
That's a New Jersey right there. I was
And
bored.
I was bored, so I decided to write this book. And I know how all these viral arguments are on TV, and I'm like, well, I have 8 years of that. I could put that into a book. And in the business world, I have a lot of respect because I was the #1 ranked advisor in our firm that's using math for over a decade. And a lot of people in business have no idea about my baseball background and what I learned from that and brought into business. So I thought the book could be interesting. It became an Amazon bestseller in its category. It's got a lot of reviews. So it's an easy read, and people that love baseball will really get a kick out of it. But I wrote the book to tell this story of how to start a business from nothing, how to grow it, how to get out of it, and what I think people want when they buy a goods or service. They want to have an overwhelmingly positive experience. And as a business owner, I never focused on trying to be the #1 advisor. All I did was focus on process for the first meeting with a client. What happens when that client walks into the office? Delivering a plan, ongoing client communication, onboarding, the whole thing, written processes. And if you talk to say Nick Saban. Nick Saban said, we won because we have processes that work. A golfer has a great pre-shot routine. Okay. I'm a lousy golfer because I don't have a good, I don't have a process that works.
Oh,
Okay.
finally, Jack sucks at something. Thank God.
Thank
Yeah.
God. Jack, come play with me in Kiowa Island because I just got done ringing the bell twice.
I broke 80 today. I did have a good day.
Oh, see,
But
he's
today
terrible.
was,
He
he put
breaks
me on a
80.
good day. I had a good day today. But anyway, having processes that all these things result in wins. That's what business owners need to realize.
Where'd the title come from?
Title came from the book was always called Plan B, and then the publisher said that's too boring of a title. And there was a story I tell in the book where it was my last year in AAA, and I was at the old. You're familiar with the College World Series, Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah.
100%.
I'm at the old Rosenblatt Stadium in AAA, and Dick Butler was a supervisor of umpires for the American League and came to our game, and I was the home plate umpire. And he surprised us. We didn't know he was coming. So he took us out to dinner after the game. And I said, Mr. Butler, I've been in the minor leagues 8 years now. I'd like to get an evaluation, find out where I stand with you guys. I have to make life decisions here. He goes, well, Jack, he goes, I think you call a really good game. He goes, I only disagreed with one pitch during the whole game. To be perfectly honest with you, I think you're too smart to be an umpire. That came from Major League Baseball. And
What
I'm
do
like,
you mean
okay,
by that?
what do you mean by that? That's a defect. And so that's where the title of the book comes from. Just what an American League supervisor told me, you're too smart to be an umpire, and it's kind of implied through the rest of the book. I certainly don't think I was too smart to be an umpire. I have too much respect for umpires to say something like that.
Right.
It came from Major League Baseball.
All right. So you look back in your career. I mean, at this point where you are, and you're doing this junket, right? You're on the podcast. You're doing this, pushing the book. You look back in your business. What are you most proud of right now with the business and where it's at?
Oh, you're gonna make me cry.
Good. Here's the gooey inside.
It's just tremendous gratitude for what's taken place from the clients, the employees. Gratitude, tremendous freaking gratitude.
Talk about the guys who are taking over and doing what you're doing, or used to do, and doing the way you did. How did you translate that to them?
Jason Gordon played Little League Baseball for me, and he was 15 years old. He came to me and said, Jack, I want to see you in your office. And I go, about what? He goes, I want to talk to you in your office. And he goes, if I want to be doing what you do someday, what do I got to do? And so
Make me cry.
I gave him, I hope he doesn't see this part. So anyway,
He should.
I gave him a job as an intern, put up the Christmas lights, barely making minimum wage. And I trained him. And he played college baseball. And I laid out a plan for him. And he connected the freaking dots. And
No, he needs to watch this, Jack. I would tell you, you're choking me up because I think, we talk about the legacy we leave. You wrote a book, I wrote a book, but it's those people we touch and those kids who you see them light up and you see them do more than you thought ever possible.
Right.
And it's just so cool. And when you're starting a business, that's not what you're thinking. Hell, you were 30 years old and you're like, you just got kicked out of baseball and you were pissed. I mean, if you weren't pissed, I was pissed for you. Don't worry about it. I can do that for you.
I was pissed.
Hell yeah. Let's go. And you know what? I'm going to go out and prove those guys that I can be the best, this, whatever it is. And I started my business and here you are. And look what you just did. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't get. It's hard to do it in the beginning. Was that your why then? Did you do the Simon Sinek thing? No. Is it now? Yeah. I mean, to get choked up on a podcast talking about a guy that you touched and look at his life and what he's doing. You're not responsible for just 15 people. You're responsible for 15 families.
Right.
15 families. And that's so important. If that's never on your back, that's been always on my back. I have 37 families right now that I'm trying to, it's on my back. And I don't think about that every day.
That's what I don't think a lot of people that don't own a business understand. You feel responsible for those families, all of them. And they're depending on you. They're depending on you. And the second person, Anthony Sandemersky, proactively came to me as well. And I trained these guys, Jason for 20 years, Anthony for about 10. And I just knew they were ready. And they're both like 37 years of age right now, approximately, and they've been running the business, and they're just killing it. They're just doing an awesome job. I don't think the clients miss me anymore. but
Well,
they
so
still
what
call it Oujo Wealth Strategies. I'm happy with that they kept the name. But I'm just so proud of them. I'm just so proud of them.
what did you look for when you were bringing people onto this team?
good question.
Thank you.
I can tell in my business if people ask questions. I want to see enthusiasm, that they don't have a job, that they have a career. And I can tell pretty early on. I said, I want you to be curious. I go, we're a small business here. Everything's up for grabs. You're trying to get to this place you never quite get to. The old Vince Lombardi line, in trying to achieve perfection, we achieve excellence. So I said, be curious, ask questions. Why is that? Why is that? And I go, if you want to get really good, try to look up the answer on your own before you come to me with the question, and you'll learn something as you're looking something up. But I look for team players and people that question me, that question why we do things. And Anthony and Jason question things, and that's why they own the business right now. I have a suggestion. Why don't we try this? Well, that won't work because of this, but a lot of the suggestions that they came up with, we implemented, and it made us all better. It made everybody better.
The minute somebody is a yes man or yes woman, they're gone. I hate that. I mean, and he just gave the Umpire thumbs out. He's out of here. I love that because I do the same thing. I mean, guys, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, right? You got to help me. And if you don't question me, I'll tell you when I think you're wrong, but don't be afraid to ask me.
Most people in leadership positions or management, they can't handle that though.
Oh God. In fact, if you yes,
That goes back to the umpire training. I mean, he's
It
used
is.
to being questioned all the time.
every question all the
umpire
time.
being
So
questioned.
he just gave the thumbs out. You're out of here. I love
Chris,
it.
if you hired a business consultant to look at your business, the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to come in and they're going to interview all the employees. And if you don't have good communication with them, those employees are going to tell the consultant, I'll tell you what's wrong with this freaking place. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. And if you have that line of communication with them, you can solve a lot of problems before they even start.
Yeah. So Jack, you're looking at you're here on the junket. We're talking about the book a little bit. What are you looking for the next 10 years? Because I know you got 10 more and you're not retiring. Don't give me that bullshit.
Yeah. I'm keeping that. I'm doing the advice I gave to my clients that retire. Take a year and try to figure things out. Don't rush into anything too soon. Right now, I'm working with somebody that thinks I can do speaking engagements, so I'm looking at that. I'm doing all these podcasts. I'm playing pickleball and golf, and I have 3 children. And each of my 3 children, I've had a child within the past 10 months. So I've gone
So your grandpa.
right. So I've gone
Are they
from
all
0
local?
to 3 grandchildren. Well, one works for the U.S. government in China, but she's coming back. She's the Department of Energy's attaché at the U.S. Embassy in China. She's coming back next year, so I'll get to see Benjamin. And then my granddaughter Colette is in Redondo Beach, California. I'm seeing her next weekend. She turns 1. My son's a captain for Alaska Airlines. And then the little one is close. When I'm done with this podcast, I'm going to see my grandson Dominic, who's about 10 minutes away from here. So they'll
You
come
didn't
out.
see,
They'll
you
come
didn't
down
see
to
it on his
Florida.
bio. His son who's the pilot, was it like at 21? He was flying the commercial.
Yeah, American Airlines offered him a job at 20, and he had to wait till he was 21. Now you got to be 23. He went in. He's 6'6", a horrible basketball player, by the way. He was just a horrible basketball player. I don't know.
You know what? Spoken like a true father, right? Thank you, Jack. And my daughter will never make it to this part. But I love this about you because we give our kids the right due, but not all the due, right? You know what I'm saying? Huh? Because your dad. You know that. All right, keep going.
But American Airlines hired him, and they said we need 10 years worth of work history, and he goes, "I was 11. I was 11. I was 11 years old when he went in." But he actually dropped out of Embry-Riddle to take his first job. So
No shit.
now he always wanted to be a pilot. He was playing those stupid video games, and then he's asking my wife and I to go to get pilot lessons when he's 17, and I'm like, we're in the parent handbook. Most people are dealing with their kids driving a car, and Dad, can I take my girlfriend down to Atlantic City and then rent a plane? I'm like, I don't know what to freaking say. So, but he's doing great.
Well, I'm going to throw a vote in for your friend that wants you to get on the speaking tour because I think you'll kill it.
I think you'll kill it too, dude. I'll tell you what, if you want to come down to Atlanta, we'll support you. We will make this happen if you want to come down here. So, Jack, let's stay in touch, make this thing happen. Guys, you just got a free 45 minutes from an umpire and a guy who built a business and a guy who figured out how to pass his business on so he can get out of it. Think about that whole life cycle. You just got a whole shitload of information off of somebody you wouldn't have got. I didn't get it. That Alan didn't get it. That's why we started this podcast 4.5 years ago. Small Business Safari. Tell your friends, tell your family. If you liked it, you let them know. If you don't, screw you. We got to keep going. We're out of here because we got the ump, Jack Oujo. Go figure it out. Check him out. He's got a podcast. He's got a book. He's got the website. You can go figure him out. Jack Oujo. Go see the thing because I can't. It's oujo.com.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Too smart to be an umpire.
He is too smart to be an umpire. Let's go figure it out. Guys, great episode. Keep hustling. Keep making it happen. If you're in your truck, if you're walking around today, make it a great day. Make something happen. You know what? Today may suck, but tomorrow will be better. If today's great, tomorrow may not be so great. Keep it even. Keep it going. Let's get up that mountain and let's make it happen. We got to get out of here. We got to go.
Cheers, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Small Business Safari. Remember, your positive attitude will help you achieve that higher altitude you're looking for in the wild world of small business ownership. And until next time, make it a great day today.